Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. My name is Nick. Today I'm going to be talking about some albums that I'm still looking for. Make sure you check out all the links down below. There's a bunch of them. There's a link for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, another one for our merch page. There's links for the Spotify and Apple Music weekly playlist that we put together, and also a link for the Vinyl Den Patreon page. So make sure you check all those out. Of course, if you enjoy the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. So over the last few years, I've been lucky enough to track down, most of my Holy Grail albums that I've been looking for. There are still some out there that I'm looking for, some that I know I'll never find. Things like an RL pressing of Led Zeppelin 2. I'd love to grab. I could have bought one a couple years back. I want to say it was like a little over $100, which isn't a bad price for an RL pressing, but it was just beat to death. It was probably almost unplayable, so I'd passed on that one. I'd love to get a Beatles Butcher cover. I do have a bootleg of it, though. The Beatles' Let It Be Naked is another big album that I'd love to have. There's a pressing, it's a bootleg pressing of the 6th German show from the Pink Floyd live tour. I'd love to have a copy of that. It's only been available on a bootleg. Of course, Pink Floyd probably will never, officially release something like that. And I guess I'd also love to have an A1, B1 pressing of The Dark Side of the Moon, which is probably my favorite album of all time. So those are like those big albums I know I'm never going to get. Today I'm going to talk about 5 albums that are definitely hard to find, but they're definitely gettable. So I'm a pretty big Alice Cooper band fan. I'm not as much of a fan of his solo work, even though Welcome to My Nightmare was an incredible album. That was his first solo album, but I've always been a bigger fan of the Alice Cooper band, those first several albums. And Billion Dollar Babies is probably I guess I go back between Billion Dollar Babies and Killer as to which one is my favorite Alice Cooper album. Back in 2016, Rhino released, as part of their Rocktober series that they do every year, they released a copy of Billion Dollar Babies on this really cool looking green with orange swirl through it. Really cool looking album. And I think it's really the last modern pressing or reissue of that album. And Ian actually has a copy of it. It sounds absolutely fantastic. It's a great sounding album. So that's definitely one I'd love to have. It's not hard to find on Discogs. It goes for a little over between $100 and $150 on Discogs, which is a lot for me to pay for an album that I already have an original pressing of that does sound good. So it's definitely hard for me, even though I do love that album, it's definitely hard for me to put that kind of money down on that album. But I'd love to get a reissue or at least a cheaper copy of that album. If you guys have been watching the show for a while, I'm a big Blink-182 fan. So back in 2012, I think it was like 2 months after they left Interscope, Blink-182 self-released an EP called Dogs Eating Dogs. In 2020, I don't remember what day exactly it was the 182nd day of the year. I was actually working nights at that time, so I missed the drop. So they dropped Dogs Eating Dogs, 3 different color versions on their website. I think it was like noon or something like that. And I didn't wake up till like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, completely missed it. But all 3 of those albums, I think they were limited to like 500 or 1,000 each. They sold out almost instantly and immediately went up on Discogs for, $200, $300, I've seen it go for $400 or $500. There's a red version, there's a white version, and then there's a white and black swirl version that's available. So it's a pretty hard one to find. It's the last recording of Blink-182 with Tom DeLonge, their original guitar player, as part of the band. So, and it's a great EP. If you guys haven't heard it, it's available on streaming services. At least last time I looked, it was available on there. But it's a great EP. It's one of those that, like I said, it's out there, but it's definitely hard to find. Another one of those really expensive, really hard to find albums is Blues Traveler 4. I'd take any pressing of it. I know there was over like a 2 or 3 year span where I think they reissued it a couple of different times. All of them are super hard to find. All of them are super expensive. I actually found a copy probably back earlier this year, maybe it was May or June sometime. I found a copy at a record store I went to, but they wanted over $500 for it. There's just no way. As much as I love Blues Traveler 4, it's definitely my favorite Blues Traveler album. Just there's just no way I can spend that kind of money on a single album. I think my wife would probably divorce me if I did. But, so I was really kind of hoping that we'd see Blues Traveler 4 get reissued as like a super deluxe box set or something like that. I would love to see that happen. Definitely, I think it's an album that is due for a repress. The album was released back in 1994, so it's coming up on an anniversary over the next couple of years. So hopefully at some point, before 2024 or by 2024, we'll see a reissue of that great album. The next one's probably the easiest to find on this list. I've actually had it in my hands a couple of times. I was actually down in South Florida a few months back and just happened to pop into a record store and found a copy of it. But I decided I didn't want to haul it back on the airplane with me, so I decided to pass on it. I wish I would have picked it up because I want to say it was only like $25. I've seen it at other local record stores. They'll post it on their social media that they had it in stock, and then by the time I get there, it's gone. But this one is We Are 138. This is San Francisco 1981, Detroit 1983. It's a Misfits bootleg, and the cool thing is about this is the B side of this is the last concert in 1983 of that Misfits lineup. It was played at Greystone Hall here in Detroit. And at the end of the concert, before Glenn walked off the stage, he announced that it was the last Misfits concert ever. So that's kind of like the end of that period for the Misfits. Misfits have always been one of my favorite bands, at least for the last 25 plus years. So that's definitely a cool one to have, and it's definitely the most gettable. Like I said on this list, I can probably pick that up at any moment. But it's just one of those times. I try not to buy things like that online. I try to find it in person, but I'm sure I'll grab that at some point. And the last one on my list is one that I'll probably never find unless it gets reissued. But this is Why Do They Rock So Hard by Real Big Fish. The only time this has ever been available on vinyl was back in 2018. I think it was released only through Real Big Fish's website. If you guys aren't familiar with Real Big Fish, big ska band in the late 90s, ska punk, I guess is kind of the genre they probably fit into the best. But it's a great album, probably my second favorite ska album of that late 90s period. But like I said, it was only available through their website, and the last time I've seen this sold on Discogs was probably a year or so back, and it went for almost $300. As much as I love that album, it's a lot of money to drop down on an album. So hopefully at some point that'll get reissued. I think next year it'll be its 25th anniversary list. I think it was released in 98, but it's a great album. And I'd love to add it to my collection. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Like I said, those are 10. I guess I talked about 10 albums. Really just 5, and then 5 like pie in the sky kind of albums that I know I'll probably never own, but definitely 5 that I think are kind of gettable. Maybe I might have to wait for a reissue, maybe eventually down the road for a couple of them, but definitely those 5 I'd love to have. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know what albums you guys are still looking for, because like I said, everyone's got one of these lists. Everyone's got one of those holy grail kind of lists, but I'm always interested to see what other people are looking forward to. But like I said, drop me a comment down below. If you like the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below also. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.